Hey guys, my name is Veronica and today I'm going to be talking about the most disappointing books that I read in 2015. Since I mentioned that I didn't read a whole lot of disappointing books this year, I thought I'd go ahead and tell you about the books that I read that I did find to be disappointing. I have 6 books to show you and I'm going to go backwards from 6 to 1. I have ranked these in order of disappointment. The first book that I'm going to mention is Day of Doom by David Baldacci. This is the 6th book in the Cat Hills vs. Vespers series. Before this came the 39 Clues series, and that had 11 books in it, and it's a linked series, like it's the same main characters, it's just got like a different conflict throughout the series, and there are like 3 series that follow this one. However, this is the last one in the 2nd series, if that makes sense. I have invested a lot of time in this series because obviously I read 11 of the first books and now 6 of these, and I started them in middle school, but I still read some of them in high school, and they are written for a young adult audience, and that never really bothered me until this book. This book was the first time that I ever really could tell it was young adult. I found the characters in the story to be immature a lot of the time, and sometimes I had trouble reading it because of that. Nothing against this book, so I am not disappointed in this book. I'm disappointed in my reading experience with it because it kind of showed to me that it's time for me to move on. So this is the last book I'll read in this series, which is disappointing because I had really grown attached to the characters. But number 5 and number 4 are on here for essentially the same reasons. Number 5 is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan. I actually have 2 reasons why this book is disappointing. The first being the story itself was a bit of a letdown. I should have known it was going to be, because it has to do with insta-love, which I absolutely detest. Sometimes it was like really weird because they were doing things and I was like, oh, whoa, holy shoot monkey, you all have been together for like 5 minutes. You need to like slow down. Like I wouldn't do that stuff with somebody until I had been with them for a long time. So that bothered me a little bit. Not that they were doing it necessarily. I don't care what you do in your relationships, but for me it was just way too fast. Second thing that was disappointing to me was the fact that this is my second Rachel Kahn and David Levithan book. I read Dash and Lily's Book of Dares last Christmas. Didn't think it was all that great. Didn't find anything special with it. Didn't find anything special with this. Which is a little discouraging. Maybe I just am not meant for these authors. Also, I have read David Levithan's short story in My True Love Gave to Me. Didn't like it. And then I read Will Grayson, Will Grayson this summer, and I liked the book, but I enjoyed John Green's parts much more than I enjoyed David's. So I'm starting to get a little concerned that I am not a David Levithan fan. The next book is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. I read this book over the summer. It was an okay story. I was on a cruise when I read it, so it was like whatever. It was just a light, carefree kind of read. But it left absolutely no impact on me. I thought I was going to really enjoy it because it has to do with traveling, and they're in a lot of different places throughout the story. And I love to travel and love to see different places, and so I was fascinated by that concept. But I kind of like skipped over in my mind the fact that they like met one night and fell in love, and so I was going into it really excited, and then I was like, oh crap, this insta love is stupid, and then I couldn't get past that for like the rest of the book because they got together so fast and then were separated so fast that you never felt any connection to their relationship whatsoever. Like throughout the story I was like, who cares if they even get back together? I don't even know anything about their relationship because there is not one. Number 3 on my list is the one that I am the most sad to have put on my list, and that is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. I had extremely high expectations for this. If my expectations had not been so high, I think I would have not been so disappointed by it. I am a huge Ernest Hemingway fanatic, just him, like his person. I am so interested in him. I've done a ton of research on him and his family, and I kind of felt like some kind of fake fan that I was obsessed with this man but had never read anything that he'd written. And so I got this book for my grandma for Christmas last year. And so I read it this year, but what I didn't like about the story was that I felt there was no story. Like there wasn't a story arc. It was just kind of static the whole entire time. I felt like it was more of like a documentary documenting this trip that they go on. Like we're here, we're doing this, now we're here and we're doing this, and these people did that, and these people fought, and this person said that. I never felt like there was any like story, any conflict, any climax, or anything like that, and that's why I was disappointed in it. So if you have read an Ernest Hemingway book that you either enjoyed more than this or just really enjoyed, please let me know, because I am willing to try another one of his books. Number 2 on this list is The Treatment by Suzanne Young. The Treatment is the sequel to The Program. I read The Program also this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good story, and I would recommend it to anybody. However, I would not recommend that you read the sequel. It definitely fell to that second book curse. I didn't really like what was going on most of the time, or I didn't follow what was going on, and I thought it was just kind of pointless. And honestly, I don't even for sure know why I hated this book so much. I just really did not enjoy it, and that's about all there is to it. Number 1 on my list is by far the most disappointing book that I read this year. One of the most disappointing books I have ever read, to be frank. I gave this book 2 stars. All the others on this list had 3. This one had 2, and that is being nice, because I hated this book with a burning passion. So over the summer, for Crush Your TBR, I read Ask the Passengers by A.S. King, and I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal, fantastic book. And then I had, we were doing the Read Your Bookshelf-a-thon, and next to one of the books that I wanted to read was Please Ignore Vera Dietz by A.S. King, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to that one because it's A.S. King, and I just read A.S. King, and I really enjoyed it. And I read Please Ignore Vera Dietz, and I hated it. There was not a second that I enjoyed that book. I thought that the characters were, I don't even know what adjectives to use. They were kind of gross and a little psychotic at times. They did things that didn't make sense and that were very weird and inappropriate. And sometimes if the characters are bad, the story can redeem, but the story did not redeem. So I'm definitely not opposed to reading more A.S. King because I did enjoy one of her books, but I'm also really leery of her right now because I hated one of them as well. So that is all that I have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed hearing me rant about the books that I hated. I like talking about disliked books as much as I like talking about liked books. So please tell me in the comments the books that you read this year that you were not a fan of or you were let down by. And you can tell me what you thought about these books, whether your opinion aligns with mine or not. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say sorry now?